Hey Raven, guess what?
Can it wait? I'm trying to hang up our new pride flag.
I got some news. We're going to be doing a live show at the Pittsburgh Cannabis Festival.
I know. We've been talking about it on the pod. Are you going to help me hang this flag? I'm struggling to get it even.
Well, we got some new information.
That's nice. Now, are you going to help me or not?
The event's going to be presented by Terrapin.
Wait, Terrapin? They got some really good strains. I love their lemon G. It's really good for those stressful days.
Yeah, and their Double Bear stuff's really good too. I don't think I could have dealt with the food industry without their Primal Punch cartridge to help anxiety.
Well, what else is going on the day of the event?
The event hopes to highlight all the utilities of cannabis, from medical use to industrial use of hemp, for things like plastics, paper, and even clothing, to bioremediation and sustainability. There are even educational presentations on the bud stage for things like using cannabis to help trauma from a biopsychological perspective, how some cannabis vapes are made from supercritical CO2 extraction, and veteran advocacy, to name a few.
That's really cool, especially the veteran ones, since me and a lot of my family enlisted in the military. But is it all going to be educational?
No, there's going to be some fun with the advocacy to help normalize cannabis. Some bands are going to be playing, such as Truth and Rights, a Pittsburgh local reggae band, Sierra Sellers and Clara Kent, two R&B soul artists, and Manny's going to open for Clara. There's also going to be a pop-up yoga class that people can join in on, guided by Yoga 6 from South Hills, as well as a midday meditation on the solar stage.
Wait, are there going to be tables? And what about food? Isn't this a festival?
Of course there's going to be tables and food trucks. There's going to be a wide range of food trucks to satisfy all of your cravings. Tacos, Korean food, ice cream, and so much more. Plus live glass blowing, different CBD boutiques, and glass shops selling CBD bath bombs, edibles, lotions, oils, vapes, rolling papers, pipes, you name it. Even Curated Flame, the dope Pittsburgh glass shop, is the official cone sponsor, and we'll have some pre-rolls for the first 50 people to show up to the event.
The glass blowing sounds really cool. Do you think they'll make something for me?
Of course, who wouldn't want to see a one-of-a-kind piece get made right in front of them?
I have some friends that would love to volunteer. How could they do it?
Very easily. All they have to do is email the event planners at info@pittsburghcannabisfest.com. It's a great way to build a space for the Pittsburgh cannabis community.
Well, when and where is it so I can make sure I have it in my phone?
It's August 14th from noon to 5 p.m. at the Allegheny Commons Park Northside.
Awesome. Now, if you would, love, help me put this flag up. I can't feel my arms anymore.
This is Smoking Out the Closet. Now, here are your hosts, Alex and Rayven Greer.
Hi, my name is Raven. I use she, her pronouns.
Hi, I'm Alex. I use they, them pronouns.
Welcome back to another episode of
Smoking Out the Closet.
Well, today we got a really special guest for you guys. We have here Mia, a.k.a. Luna La Creme.
Hi.
I'm just gonna go with Luna.
That's so fair.
So, because it's your performance name.
Can I say the thing?
Yeah, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Luna. I use they, them pronouns. Hi, now I'm part of it.
Yay.
So Luna is a burlesque drag performer, shadowcast theater stage name for all of that, right?
Yes,
Okay.
It is all coherent. I used to have a different name for Rocky, but I just was like, nah, just all together.
So before we get into the review of what we're using today, just kind of get a little out there who you are. You're currently set up in the running for Pittsburgh's best drag performer for 2022. What other performance awards do you have under your belt?
I've earned a couple little awards throughout the times. I was the 2018 Pride of Pittsburgh Femme Fatale. I also won the 2020 Pittsburgh Burlypicks. I'll talk about that a little more in a second, but I was the 2020 Burlypicks of Pittsburgh Master of Lip Sync, Master of Comedy, and second overall. Burlypicks is a competition that was for burlesque performers. They are on a hiatus. They might be done. I don't know. But it was like the Olympics of burlesque, and there would be regionals throughout the country. And we had a specific Pittsburgh one. A few years it was like a Pennsylvania one. But there was just burlesque competition, and you'd compete regionally and then compete for overall. I didn't get to go to my overall because it was in Utah in the middle of the pandemic. And I had a cute little vacation planned with the other winners, but we were all like, nah, it's not worth traveling.
That's fair.
Yeah.
So before we go more what all you do and then everything, like, it's really cool and I'm super excited to have you on. We should probably talk about this, what we're vaping, I guess, technically.
Yeah.
Um,
So last paycheck, I got myself a little present because I've been a good boy. I got a raise at work. I was feeling great about myself. So I got myself a PAX Era Pro. And this little dude is great. You connect it to your phone. It has optimal like temperature settings when you put the pod in. It gives you the entire terpene profile on it. It gives you all the nerd shit, which I geek out about. I literally spent an hour looking at the app. But we have a pod that we're using for it.
and before we go into that, I just want to add real quick. One thing we were hesitant for a long time about getting the PAX battery system is we knew it was originally started by the nicotine-based company that makes Juul and Juul pods.
And I did a little bit more research into it because I heard so many great things about PAX. And I was like, okay, well, let me do some research and see what happened. So in 2017, PAX spun off from Juul as a sibling company, and they like got their own rights. They parted ways from Juul. They became two separate companies of PAX and Juul. So it was started from somebody, what it seemed like, who worked at Juul. So then it came from there, but they're their own company. They don't have any ties to Juul anymore. So I didn't feel morally obligated to be like, I don't want to get that.
Kind of like similar to like Google and Niantic.
Yeah. So yeah.
So what are we? What strain do we have today?
This is Citrus City by Strane. And it is a very nice sativa, high in terpenoline and limonene. Tastes super similar to the Lemon G honey pod that we've had from Terrapin before. Or the CO2 cartridge, not the pod. But I love it. It's really nice because I was talking to somebody at your dispensary, as where I got it from. I was like, hey, I really like Lemon G and I'm looking at this. I want to get this PAX. I've heard great things. I wanted to use it more. Like, I wanted to try this out for a while to be my primary device, to give it a good like run for its money before CannaFest. It's super discreet, which is what I really like. I don't feel like I'm gonna break it because the pod's in there and like the 510 thread. But like, this strain is really nice. It's become my like in the morning, how I get focused and everything and get ready for the day. I really like it. This hits so smooth too. I don't know if you've noticed that, or even Luna, if you've noticed, because like I don't know, it hits just super
it's a
even.
lot smoother than 510 thread batteries. Now, do you want? It's probably we can just put in the show notes like your Luna. Do you want us to use your actual name?
I'm okay. Even if you want to switch throughout, I'm
okay.
Fine.
Okay, fair enough. Because Luna is also our partner Mia. We've talked about previously on the show.
So it's like
their stage performance name is Luna. So I just want to go because that's going to confuse me, especially the higher we get.
Yeah.
No, that's so fair. And I'm gonna put a note when I share this, like, hey, just if you don't want to know my mortal name, like, watch out. Because there are some people I've like had people go like, don't tell me, don't ruin the magic.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
No, I think that's one of the fun parts is like learning people's mortal names and going, huh, wow. Can't see you as anything other than Candy.
As someone who's also done drag previously, I can get that. What would you rate it, Alex?
The cool thing with my PAX app is I can rate it. It doesn't give me as down to the point percent as we do. I rated it a 4 out of 5 when I first tried it. It's really great. I think I said 4, like 4.5 for this go around, or like what did I say? 4.5.
Yeah, you said 4.
4. Yeah, I mean it's really great. I like it, but it's not it doesn't hit the same as the Lemon G. There's something about the mix of that Lemon G that's, I don't know, my standard, I guess, for.
It's because that's higher in CBD.
Yeah, I think so. This also has a decent amount of CBD. It's not nearly as much but it's like a 75% pod with some CBG in it. So
CBG or
I
CBD?
think it's CBG. Actually, let me pull up my thing on my PAX thing, and I can tell you.
Okay.
Probably.
And I'll go through my review then.
Yes.
I thought it was really good. Especially for like being one of the first PAX pods I've had. I love Strane's grows that they do. I've had a golden pineapple from them, and I really liked it.
Yes. So it is 75% THC, 2.33% CBG.
Okay.
And 1.21% CBC.
Okay, but why I think the lemon G might be hitting different is it has CBD.
Yeah, it has CBD in it. But it's very nice. So
yeah,
I just wanted to give the other breakdown here since I did have it.
No, I gotcha. Yeah, I really liked it. It's nice and smooth. It very flavorful. It's almost like a concentrate level of flavorful. Like you can definitely tell they saved the terpenes during the process of them making the cartridge.
Mm-hmm. Strane stuff, I feel like they just put so much care into it, and you can taste it, especially with their flower that I've had recently.
And I'm not sure if everybody can get Strane, but they're from the grow processor company Holistic Farms, so anything by them probably would be real good. I give it a 4 out of 5 as well.
Yeah.
I gave it, in the spirit of fun decimals, gave it a 4.4. It hits very smooth. I'm a very happy high. Yeah, it's a good time. 4.4.
All right, so with today's episode, first probably besides just kind of getting all the bells, what all hats do you have?
Well, I have like an airplane hat and like a step down. So currently I am a part of a number of troops in Pittsburgh. My first troop, my first troop would be the Junior Chamber of Commerce players, the Pittsburgh Rocky Horror Shadowcast.
Which we have talked about before on this podcast. So if you haven't listened to that episode, please go back and do so, because we talk about our very first experience with the Junior Chamber of Commerce players.
It's true. I had such a good time listening to that episode. I was Frank at that show.
Yeah, it was amazing.
But I've been doing Rocky in Pittsburgh since 2010. I started when I was still in high school, like my last few months of high school. I went 3 times and then joined cast. And I haven't looked back. I was president for a little while, and then I focused on my burlesque stuff. And then towards like the beginning, like right before, like beginning of 2020, I started coming back a little bit more, and I've been pretty steady since. I am also a part of the Smokin' Betty's burlesque troupe, which is formed from my graduating class from where I learned burlesque, the Steel City Burlesque Academy. Back in 2014, when classes ended, we're like, hey, let's just start a troupe. We were actually almost the PA Burly Girlies, which I think is a fantastic name, but I'm very happy we did not, because we've decided that Betty's is gender neutral. Between me and my brother Betty, a Moxie villain, you can be a Betty of any gender. So Smokin' Betty's, and I'm a part of Hot Metal Hardware, which is Pittsburgh's basically gender fuck troupe. We have all sorts of different performers, lots of drag. Started as a drag king troupe and has expanded to be just all-inclusive, all-gender performance. They've been going actually since 2010. I've been a part of them since 2018. Yeah, I joined during my reign, because it was just like hand in hand, like being the femme fatale and HMH. You just get invited a lot, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna be a part of this. So I've always liked HMH and what they do. So I joined, and I'm a part of the steering committee now. So I help organize shows and stuff. And we have some really cool projects coming up. Like we're actually doing an all ages show next month.
That's cool.
Yeah, we're like trying. It's like more than just doing like nighttime entertainment. It's also like reaching out to the community, and we want to do like more educational stuff and workshops. I know I have a lot of people always asking me about doing more workshops, and I'm going to do it one day. I've done one so far. I did a feather fan workshop Not quite like last fall, I think it was. But I haven't really had the chance to write many more classes, but I will eventually.
When I think of burlesque, I think of like the history it's had too. It'd be super cool to like be able to sit down and like learn about like the wide history that burlesque has.
Because it's almost like the major, when I think of burlesque, I think of very much like vaudeville era 1920s burlesque performance. I mean, it is older than that, but that's when it, to my knowledge, became very mainstream across the world. So it's over 100-year-old profession at this point.
Oh yeah.
How does it make you feel being a part of something like that old and like rich in history?
It's actually really freaking cool. Especially because I love history, and that's how I started. Like when I was in Burlesque Academy, my very first class was all about the history of it. I was very lucky. We had Bella Sin, who is a very renowned burlesque performer from Cleveland. They came and taught us our like basic history, and just like going through, because like in Pittsburgh specifically, I'm trying to do better. I really want to sit down and do more like research on it. But it seems that Liberty Avenue was the place in Pittsburgh where you could find burlesque. And one of my favorite claim to fames is I am one of the very few burlesque performers who have been on like a weekly cast at a bar. Because it's usually like drag queens, and maybe you'll get like a king and maybe a mixed performer. But I haven't really seen any other burlesque performers get that opportunity. And it was at there, which is on Liberty Avenue. So I was like, oh my gosh, it's like at the time 2018, and we still have burlesque on Liberty Avenue. So it's like a really cool feeling.
That's nice.
Just continuing that and continuing that tradition, especially since like burlesque like hit a huge snag in like the 60s and 70s with like, there's nothing wrong with this, but like the blowing up of like porn and like when the porno theaters became more of a thing and more people were making porn and showing more, that people weren't really going to burlesque because they could see more hardcore stuff, which like, heck yeah, go see the hardcore stuff. But it's also fun to see like the art of tease. And I think that's like where we're at now, because like you can get porn so easily, but you can still go out and go to a burlesque show and like see just the artistry that goes behind tease.
And it's very beautiful in performance and everything, just from the short snippets I've seen of like your videos.
And tying into we're talking about in the vein of tradition. At the Rocky show last night, I got to stand with you dressed as Brad outside of the Hollywood Theater and watch these amazing groups of people come in, and I was just observing everyone, because I was like, you talking to people, and some people have come from a very long time ago whenever Rocky was being shadow cast in Pittsburgh, and they hadn't seen it in so long, and they brought their virgins with them, and it was just kind of awe-inspiring to see, because it's like so many different kinds of people come together. And I feel like it's the same thing with, you know, like with drag, you have and with burlesque, there's just, it brings so many different kinds of people, and it's kind of gorgeous to see.
It is. That was a really fun crowd last night. Yeah, because there was like the guy who was like, I wanted to go see it at the King's Court, but I didn't get to. And I was like, you're here now. Yes. And we had so many virgins who were dressed so nice.
There were so many well-dressed virgins.
We had specifically 3 that were like perfectly dressed. And I was like, this is a silly question, but have you seen Rocky in a theater with a cast? And they're like, well, actually, no. And I was like, oh my God, my virgin jar is off.
I mean, I don't know. I feel like it's, I don't know, because I think when people think theater and like shadow cast, I think it's going to be like a really nice performance, so they get dressed up for it. And then I'm thinking, I'm very thankful that my dad has gone to see one back in the day, probably the State College original, like long time ago in the State Theater. But like, yeah, it was very much like I was very exposed to the movie at a very young age because of basically him and Mom. And so I was like, I know I shouldn't dress up super fancy for this. I mean, I can, and to kind of fit in the mood of like the first part of the movie. But like, I don't know. Well, also with the Transylvanians, you know, fit in with them. If I'm going to dress up, I'm going to be very extra with
Yeah,
it.
because that also falls in tradition, because the best part about Rocky is the audience. Like it's the people who bring the energy to it, and it's even the performers. Just it's amazing that all of the passion that's in that building at the time, and that feeling is like nothing else.
And I felt bad the first time we went there because I couldn't jump because my knee and my ankle, and I'm like, I can't do the time warp. I'm just gonna sit here.
It is a-okay. We always like to say, like, if do as much as you're able to, because even like we have everyone get on their feet and scream fuck, but we always like are like, get on your feet if you're able to, because like that's not cool to be like, stand up if it's gonna hurt you. Like that's not cool.
But by God, are they going to yell at you if you stand up during the movie? When everything's said, sit down. Who the fuck stands up during a movie? Come on.
That was 100% Lady Quinn.
I love it.
And it was perfect. I love her chaos energy so much.
I still, every time, like last time I went to go see Rocky, and this time I went to go see Rocky, I would love to see, I know I've said it on the podcast before, MST3K do callbacks for Rocky.
That would be fantastic.
Oh, it'd be amazing. Because it's that same kind of energy, that chaos, and I love it.
Yes.
So you say you've been around for like the drag scene for about a number of years. How much has that changed since the panorama has been around? It's
been interesting. Drag has definitely gotten back on their feet a lot better than say burlesque has. There's definitely been like an increase in shows and like a lot of different kinds of shows. There's like a lot more brunch shows I've noticed. A little less actually of that culture I was talking about before with having like weekly casts. You actually aren't quite seeing that as much anymore, where there's like a base cast and then they have like guests in, and like, because there's like P-Town that has like Mom's Basement and Manic Monday, and they like have like their main host, but they have like a pretty, they're kind of rotating performers a little better. A little controversial. I think they could do a lot better with a lot more kings and a lot more non-binary and just in general like AFAB performers would be really cool to see more of, because I haven't been really reached out to. I don't really see too many others. So they could definitely do a little better with that. But it has definitely picked back up pretty good since on the drag side. On the burlesque side, it's a little iffy right now. We're regathering venues because we lost a number of venues during the Panda Express. Such as Ham Bones was like a huge staple of ours. Definitely we miss our Jeff.
Was that just a place that closed down because they couldn't recover from?
It was a little of that. The owner also passed away. He was having a hard time. I actually worked there, like actually right before the pandemic, and it was just a hard time, and everything just kind of folded. There's that. There's also a few other venues that have come and gone. We do have some new ones though, such as Lawrenceville Distillery, which you two are going to on the 27th.
Yes, for that little staycation we're doing next month.
Staycation. Although I still managed to negotiate me performing. I'm like, I know we're on vacation, but do you mind if I perform if you get to watch?
That makes it like, I mean, appeals to us because I have been wanting to go to one of your burlesque shows. Like,
And the fact is we actually get to see it. So, I mean, it's still something cool that's Pittsburgh local that we get to see and actually, see some other artists on top of that and everything.
Connect with you with. That's what about, like, I feel like the staycation's about. It's just, like, doing things we connect with each other with.
And it's going to be a good one. There's, like, some heavy hitters. Like, my friend Eden Ivy's going to be there. Jocelyn Lark's going to be there. It's going to be, like, a good-ass show.
Now, with State College Queens, which was the group I was a part of, we had a couple, I think we had one or two bio queens is what we call them. We had a couple non-binary drag queens. Me at the time, I was a non-binary double hitter. So I did king and queen performances. After I left and kind of got forced to retire because medical reasons, I've seen some kings, some more androgynous performers come in. A lot of it was just due to the lack of performers that we've had for those sides. Is there just not a whole lot, or is it more of like just the queens are more what give a draw because of things like RuPaul's Drag Race, that like they see that more, so more people know it more, so they're gonna try getting bookings for those people more?
I think a lot of it is having that representation. Can I very gently correct something? Bio Queen is a little outdated.
Okay.
We just call everyone queens now.
Okay.
Yep. Totally fair. That was like real. It was a-okay like as of like 2 years ago. So
Okay.
a-okay. But no, just everyone's a drag queen. It doesn't matter what your parts are.
Cool.
Yep. I think a lot of it is representation. I think a lot of people just think they can't do that because of who they are, and they don't see that.
Yeah.
I know I get a lot of that from people coming up and going like, I didn't think that we could do this. And it's like, no, you totally can. And I think like it's getting a little better. I wish Drag Race would do something with kings. Camp Wanakiki has kings, which I love. And of course, Dragula has kings, Landon Cider, swoon. And though Drag Race did finally have a queen, who is AFAB.
Okay.
Victoria Scone, who was fantastic, but only lasted a few episodes because then she broke or strained or something her ankle.
Oof.
But there's been like a big outpour of like love that they're finally letting more queens.
That's nice, and I will say that was a term that I've heard only when interacting with that performer.
No, that's so fair, and that could also be like a state college thing. Whereas I know it more from like Pittsburgh, but also like online in general. Like,
I mean, to be fair, that was also over 2 years ago when I was interacting with that performer, and I haven't heard or seen anything to change that. So I will say that I am also growing as someone in part of the community. It's always a growth.
I just wanted to gently let you know.
No, I appreciate that.
You before, because I have heard you've said it before, and I was like, I should mention something, but it never quite came up.
Now, I will say I kind of fell off from watching RuPaul's after season 7 because of all the transphobic Twitter posts that Ru has put. So it's really nice. Has there been more trans representation on the show since then?
There has. I will never defend RuPaul for with any fiber of my being. But yes, there actually are. I'm so sorry for spoilers, but actually the one All-Star season, what's her name? Kylie Sonique. It was actually the winner, and she was the first trans winner. Okay. Which was really cool. And just like actually the past few seasons have been like half of the girls are like trans, and it's really fucking cool to see.
That's really nice, because I knew there was some that came out after RuPaul's Drag Race that they were on because of just the whole issue with the Twitter account that Ru had.
The trains flag.
Do you have any questions for me right now, honey?
I've just been sitting here listening. I'm having a great time listening.
I'll let you get the last couple before
on
the break.
The spot. I don't know. Oh my goodness.
Okay.
Sorry.
It's okay. We can go to a break right now, stretch our legs and everything, and then we'll be back. But get to On This Day in History first, and then we'll be back to the second half, where we're probably going to talk about more of just the gay community in general, was my thought. Yeah. Just to see, because we're new to Pittsburgh, and Mia's been the local one.
The local yinzer.
Some gay stuff.
Probably just talk about what is there in Pittsburgh to do gay stuff at.
Yeah.
Welcome back to another On This Day in History. We're looking at August 2nd, starting in 1865. Lewis Carroll publishes Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. In 1957, Lovell Telescope's first light astronomical image is taken. In 1983, conservative Republican and ex-congressman at the time, Robert Bauman, comes out and urged the American Bar Association to support gay rights legislation. Attorney Roy Kuhn, one of the history's best-known gay Jews, who was both homophobic and anti-Semitic, dies from complication due to AIDS in Bethesda, Maryland. 1987, Arizona Governor Evan Bacham announces during a radio call-in show that students at Arizona State University do not have the right to form a gay and lesbian student organization, inciting that it will cause more people to become homosexual. And in 1995, then President Bill Clinton signs an executive order 12968, which bans discrimination based on sexual orientation, establishing a uniform policy for government employees' access to classified information. This is the first executive order with the words sexual orientation written in United States history. This has been On This Day in History. Raven here. I just wanted to make a little ad for our Patreon that we started. First and foremost, all the funds generated with this Patreon is going to go directly back into the podcast, whether that's better equipment so we can make better sounding episodes, give you guys really cool stuff like stickers, pictures, nice little trinkets from us, or be able to travel to places where there is legal weed or there's certain LGBT communities that we want to interact with and talk to, and potentially have some really cool guests come on the show. Now, right now our Patreon is bare bones, and I do apologize with that, but we hope to make it a little better as time goes on. Right now we have 3 tiers: flour, vape cartridges, and concentrates. Flour is $3 per month. Vapes is $6 per month, and concentrates is $9 per month. With flour, you get access to our Discord, the Scuttle Zone, a private Discord that we have for you guys to kind of interact with each other and potentially interact with us. We have things for different aspects of the cannabis community and LGBT community where you guys can talk to and kind of just interact with each other and learn from each other, and learn with us. But you also get early access to these episodes. You get a day or two, basically immediately after I'm done editing the episode, I am putting it on the Patreon so you guys can listen to it early. With vape, you have everything from the flour, but you also have access to the private chat room in the Discord server for one-on-one discussions and questions for us. You'll have the ability to basically be, hey, I have a question about this certain thing, and we'll answer it at the end of every episode. We won't get to everyone all at the same time, obviously, but we'll spread it out through the month and be able to get to as many questions as we can. And then with the concentrates, you get everything from flour and vape, but you also get behind the scenes looks at what we do here. I'll show what I'm editing and maybe little sound files or little clips of what we're working on. Our show notes, so you get to see that early, potentially, knowing what topics we're going to be talking about on this next episode. Pictures of stuff in and outside of the recording stuff, things like cannabis festivals. We'll take pictures and post some of them online, but with the behind the scenes access, you get to see all of that. Basically, all the dumb faces we make at each other, all the cool stuff that we see, and all the cute things that we find. It's my hope with this Patreon that we'll be able to go far and wide and hopefully be able to see some of you guys or have some live shows in the future where you guys can come and interact with us. And obviously no pressure. I just want to make sure that you guys are aware of this, and first and foremost, take care of you guys yourselves. If you don't have money to support it, or if something happens, you have to stop, we totally understand. Thanks. And we're back. I'm really high. We've been smoking on those packs the entire fucking
the
time
entire
we're
episode, it's been
recording.
just passed around
It's
so many
true.
times.
We gay stuff.
Gay stuff.
So you invited us to kind of watch because we unfortunately had to work during Pride in Pittsburgh or the Pride Revolution, but there was on the second day of it, there was a live stream that was going on in Europe. Was it the second or third day? I can't remember.
It was the last day, Sunday, because it was Thursday through Sunday.
Okay, so it would have been Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, fourth day.
Fourth day.
That you were doing a live stream of it. It had a lot of queer performers in a lot of different myriads of forms and everything. Do you want to talk about how that was and like how did you even get that? Because that was freaking awesome and like really cool that you were like that well known as a performer that you got to do something for Pittsburgh Pride.
Yeah, so that was our virtual Pride showcase. It was based off of the shows that we did a lot during quarantine and during COVID, like heavier COVID times. That especially like when we were in quarantine, like being stuck inside, all the artists, we just started making videos and doing shows virtually and streaming them on like Zoom or Twitch. And that was how we were doing shows for a little bit. And the first last year 2021 we did it was the first year for Pittsburgh Pride Revolution. In the past, Pride has been primarily, well, there's been multiple prides that have happened, but the main one was always the Delta Foundation Pride. Delta Foundation was no sugarcoating, just absolute shit, awful people. Gary Van Horn was a very greedy man who this was just a big gross corporate pride.
The bad side of corporate pride that we are a little afraid of happening.
That.
Okay.
And it came crashing down in 2020, or would that be 2019 was the last year that they had their thing. And then it came crashing down in 2020 when he was arrested. And from that bloomed Pittsburgh Pride Revolution. Also, there is the Sisters Pride. They do the People's Pride, and that really took off in 2017 when we did our first like big Pride March. Yeah, and they did virtual this year. I don't know what their future plans are. Actually, I think they were doing something in Swissvale.
Okay.
I heard this year. But getting back to Pittsburgh Pride Revolution, in 2021, they kind of bloomed from all of that. It was very quickly, it all happened so quickly. It was all put together in about like 3 weeks because we found out we could do it. And so there was like, it was a little bit more limited than what happened this year, where it was like 4 days and like planned out and there were things. But there was like a march and a gathering over in Allegheny Park, and we did a virtual showcase because that was just so much of the culture at that point. And we wanted to try to have those virtual options because there were still people who couldn't go out, like people who are immunocompromised or anything like that, that prevented them from going out. We just wanted to have options for them. And we carried that over to this year and did another virtual showcase. And it was perfect because like the best thing about recording acts is you can show them as many times as you want to. And you just like have that art there that you can like share and like put into shows. They are like kind of coming to a halt. I know there are still some shows that are going on, but it's absolutely like nowhere where it was in like 2020 and 2021, which is a bit of a shame, but I also like totally understand because I totally burnt myself out on virtual shows. Like I still don't know if I can imagine making like another video like I did at that time, because I just did so many and it takes so much work that I just couldn't really imagine doing that right now. But it was really nice to still have that and have that for Pride and have that accessibility for people to be able to see this. And we had like performers from like across the nation. Sorry, I had a question mark because like sometimes we go international. I've had like performers from like Europe, Australia. I did a show at one point that was like on London time, and I had to perform at like 6 o'clock here, and it was like a 10 o'clock show. I think something about that, if that sounds right. Just really cool stuff that was able to happen out of something really crappy like the panorama.
And there's probably some people that just like the whole thought of I had to do this during this very troubling and hard time probably just puts a bad taste in their mouth. Like
that too.
At least I can imagine, for some people.
Yeah, because it's very I personally, so I was like on my own the entire pandemic. So I had to like film my videos on my own, and I got really good at like propping my phone up on stuff, and I had like a tripod and stuff, but I just like don't quite want to revisit that isolation I felt at that point. So that is definitely a big part of it.
Do you have a question?
You put me on the spot.
Okay, well, just think of one and you'll just shout it, okay?
Okay.
So what's like the local scene? I know there's a couple when I was talking to one of my old boss before he left, before we moved out here. He was talking about there was like quite a bit of gay bars, especially on South Side. Well, he said there's a lot of bars in the South Side too, so like there's going to be a bit more gay bars in that area, right? No,
you would really think with how many bars, because no, you are 5,000,000% correct. South Side is like primarily bars, and that's like the big thing it is now. I kind of miss the old South Side. I'm going to be an old Pittsburgher for a second and be like, I miss the old South Side with the Beehive, and like I would be there like 16 years old in my combat boots, smoking a cigarette, feeling like a badass. But it is primarily bars and like clubs right now. We do have, that is actually where HMH we perform primarily is in the South Side on 25th Street Tavern, 25th Street Bar and Grill. I think that is correct. So there is that. I feel like that is probably the gayest thing in the South Side, would probably be us.
I would say it is 25th Street Bar and Grill because that was actually one place I was looking at to take us out when we went camping on our anniversary last year.
Oh.
So that does sound right to me.
Yeah. So there's that. There's also it's kind of like the awkward lines of knowing what area things are in Pittsburgh, but like at the very edge of the strip, very beginning of Bloomfield, there is Brewers, which is a gay bar. They are a very historic gay bar. I wish I knew what year, but I believe they opened up sometime in the 70s. 79 is coming to mind, but don't quote me on that. I don't know if that's right. But they've been a gay bar for a very long time. There is P-Town, which is Oakland-ish, kind of Shady Side. Shady Side was like kind of the happening place because there's also 5801 that's there. That's a really, really nice gay bar. They have a really great patio, really great menu. I had something with tomatoes in it, and I didn't hate the tomatoes, so I feel like that says something.
Interesting.
But yeah, they're great. I miss Element. That used to be like next door to their very cool bar that closed down during the Panini. I'm running out of pandemic words. No, what other bars? I actually wasn't running out of bars. Who am I missing? Oh, actually, no. Oh, Blue Moon! How did I miss Blue Moon? I was literally just there. Blue Moon, which is actually voted the #1 best gay bar in Pittsburgh.
Nice.
They're in Lawrenceville, and yeah, they are pretty damn great. They do a lot of really cool events. They have twice a month a like lesbian femme night that I just performed at a week or two ago. And they do like just a bunch of stuff there. They have open stage, and shows. Yeah, it's
Nice.
cool.
So what are some of like the old, like definitely older like stuff here at like Pittsburgh that's like has a bit more historical context for the LGBTQI, the queer community?
I'm trying to think. The first thing I think of is the Eagle/Pegasus, which is like most people's first gay bar. I feel bad that it comes back to a bar.
No, it's fine. Fine.
But that's so Pittsburgh, though. It's like Pittsburgh and gay culture that unfortunately things just come back to a bar.
I mean, technically, Stonewall Inn was a tavern in a bar,
That is true.
A tavern in an inn.
I mean, heck, look at us, Rayven. Our gay story goes back to a bar.
Yeah.
2 bars to be specific.
Well, our first date and then one I proposed in. And you talked about Club Pittsburgh with us.
Oh,
before.
yeah, Club Pittsburgh.
Thought that would be really cool to bring up and kind of talk about what that is.
Yeah, so that is our bathhouse here in Pittsburgh. So gay bathhouses are a very important part of queer culture, specifically for gay men. I feel like a little bit less for us, basically. But it is just kind of one of those spaces for gay men to go and just hook up and have sex, and it's no big deal. It's like pretty discreet, and yeah, I feel like there's just spaces like that because there's actually one other space I was not going to talk about, and that is Donnie's, the leather bar, because I could go into a rant here. But that also has like a space like that. The basement, there's an area where it's a blacked out room. There's no light, no nothing, and you just go there and hook up. I actually got kicked out of the basement at Donnie's once, is my rant. And it was because I couldn't disguise my voice well enough. And they could tell that I was AFAB, and you're not allowed to be down there if you're AFAB.
What?
Even my trans men friends have had issues and have been kicked out of the basement of Donnie's, and I don't love that.
I don't either.
I don't either. No, because that plays into the whole one of the big issues that we've talked about on this podcast before is the transphobia, or the whole just if you're not cis, you're not cool in the community according to these people, and that's just not cool. So I'm glad you did bring that up, because that's just a place that we don't want to support.
Yeah, because it still exists. Like this story, this happened in 2019 that I got kicked out of there, and like one of my very good friends was bartending, and it's a little embarrassing. I like started crying, and I like ran up to my bartender friend, and he just like comforted me, but it just like it sucked.
No, I can imagine. I remember you talking about like other stuff that's not just like cis gay men at Club Penguin, though. They have like goth nights
Club
and
Penguin.
stuff. Or did I say Club Penguin?
You did say Club Penguin.
That is so perfect.
Disney, don't sue me.
Oh, that is dirty Club Penguin.
I am high, okay?
I love it so much, though.
Club Pittsburgh.
Club Pittsburgh. Yes, no, they do have
Pittsburgh Penguins.
I totally see that thought process there. Yes, on I believe it is Thursdays, they do an all gender night. So they do welcome not just gay men, which is really cool to see, because like I even know people who work there who are not gay men, and it's just like really, really cool to see. Because there's that, and there's also a hot mass that happens on the second floor. The second floor is like kind of the more public space. And this past weekend was the very first Obsidian, which was like a goth night, which was really cool, and that was really bopping. There was a lot of people in there.
So can we take a quick step back? You mentioned Hot Mess, and the app that you had, we were talking about, I can't remember what it's called right now off the top of my head, but the app that you got a missing connection for at Obsidian. Yes, I have been seeing things about Hot Mess. Please enlighten me.
It is the after hours club that happens on the second floor. It's basically like what Obsidian was doing, like having a dance night, But it is just a regular dance night and not a gothy one. Also, though, I think there is more sex happening too, because you can be. It's like cool. It's like one of those spaces where you can be like topless and stuff. Like there are so many boobies there at Obsidian on Friday. So many boobies.
Oh, that makes me happy as a trans girl who used to walk around before she transitioned with her shirt constantly off. This makes me happy.
You go walk around topless. Heck
It's
yeah.
true.
I don't have to cover the knops.
Yes, I was very close to undoing at least my top because the titty sweat in my little one piece
It
was
gets
real.
hot, and
Yeah.
I hate it.
Yeah.
Like, I remember we were having a Halloween theme party or something in my apartment the one year, and all the guys just took their shirts off, and you're like, you know what? I'm fucking hot. I'm taking my shirt
A
off.
mood. Just deal with the titties.
And-
Oh, did I actually? Yes, I answered the question. I was like,
Yeah, no, you
cool,
did.
cool, cool.
So what are is there any drag storytime hour? Like, what's the community outreach for the LGBT community here in Pittsburgh?
There's a lot of great resources. We don't quite have, I think, a steady one currently of a drag queen story hour. The Warhol is doing it for a while. They might still be doing it. I'm not too sure what their schedule looks like. There is Proud Haven, which is a very good resource for queer youth. That is actually but one of the people there who's on the board is my good friend Lindsay Sickler, who runs the youth drop-in, and they've been running youth drop-ins for ever in Pittsburgh. That's actually how I met them. Is I was doing service learning at Carlo, and I was like, well, I'm gonna go do something queer. So I volunteered at the GLCC, the Gay and Lesbian Community Center, which is now the Equality Center, and that is where I met them. And I helped with youth drop-in.
What are youth drop-ins?
Youth drop-ins are spaces for queer youth to drop in a certain hours. Usually it's often Friday nights to keep kids out of trouble and stuff.
Okay.
And there's board games or movies and snacks. And,
Okay, so it's kind of like a Boys and Girls Club almost?
Yeah, like a youth night.
Okay.
Yeah, basically. And that happens there. I'm pretty sure probably Fridays. I don't know what the hours are, but
Okay.
and they have a lot of resources. They also help people out, especially homeless queer youth. They have a pantry and toiletries available. And I know they do have, I think they have at least one apartment currently, or some kind of housing. They're trying to work on getting more, but they are trying to make sure people have beds and stuff.
That's nice.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that is Proud Haven is the main space for that. Other than that, there are queer youth events that happen throughout the city. I know I'm drawing a blank. The one organization. No. I need to look it up.
It's okay.
Of course, my phone won't turn on.
Trust me, the amount of times I've had to look up something on this podcast and be like, oh crap, what is it? What is it?
Yeah, no, I just completely drew an entire blank. You can find a lot of the events. Me and Lindsay both try to run this one page that is Pittsburgh 21 and under youth queer page that shares those kinds of things that happen throughout the city. Hugh Lane. Sorry,
Okay.
Hugh Lane Wellness.
That's okay.
They do a lot of wonderful things as well throughout the city. And of course, Trans Pride Pittsburgh does a lot of stuff. They have their pool parties going on right now. And they have a Discord server and stuff and game nights.
That's cool, because I know I'm not going to say names, but one of the people we're training at my store right now, they have a child who is under the trans umbrella and actually went to one of the recent ones. and the pool was closed.
Oh
No.
no, yeah, I saw that.
That was on the name of that
Sunday.
app, Lex?
Lex?
The
yes.
app. I saw it on Lex. They moved it to yesterday is when it was. They just moved it. I think what was it, like a week?
Yeah,
They
because
moved it a
apparently
week.
the pool was having electrical issues and
Yeah.
something, which understandable, especially if the electricity is getting into the water.
Mhm.
So luckily, they just happened to hop over to a nearby pool and went swimming anyway. So I mean, at least they had fun because they're a young adult. So I mean, at least have some fun. You know what I mean? I know Pirates did a Pride night during
Yeah.
Pride that you and me went to.
Yeah.
Alex. That was really fun.
That was so much fun.
Yeah, actually, the sports teams, I feel like, except for the Steelers, the Penguins and
The Riverhounds do have a Pride night. I know that too.
oh, cool. Yeah,
I was gonna see that. Well, it was the same night that your Rocky performance was on, and it was like I can't go to both.
that's so fair. But yeah, they do that. I feel like there's at least one for the Penguins and one for the Pirates each year. Although it kind of seems like they've been doing at least two for the Penguins.
I love just everywhere you look in this city. There's just inclusivity
Mhm.
everywhere. It's gorgeous.
Like there were so many things for like people of color. There's like murals dedicated to like local like BIPOC artists.
Yeah, and there's also like some really good health resources, like because like Pittsburgh is like really good for like health care things in general. And we do have like the organizations such as like Allies and Metro and my personal favorite, Allegheny Reproductive. I forget the last word. Clinic? No. Allegheny Reproductive.
Something.
Those people, they're fantastic. Sheila is wonderful. They offer gynecology for trans and non-binary people.
Nice.
I need to get information from you then because I am in due need of an appointment.
They are fantastic. I cannot say enough about them.
Do they have a wait list?
Last year, I was able to get in pretty quickly.
Okay.
They prioritize trans and non-binary people, so probably not depending on what things look like, but yeah, and they're really freaking good about it. I was able to get really good care last year.
That's awesome.
Through them.
I know there's a local PFLAG chapter here
there
for
is, yes.
parents of. It originally stands for Parents of Lesbians and Gays. I think is what it originally stands for, but it's just parents of like the queer kids.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's a Prasad community here.
Yeah, there is Prasad Center. They do offer some good things to the community, therapy and such. They are not perfect. I will not go super deep into it.
That's fair.
But they are. I think they are trying to do good.
I know there was a lot we talked about the episode after we went to the Pirates game because a lot of them were there.
We got to talk to a lot of them while we were there, so that was awesome.
I was looking up trying to find my cork board of cool business cards I have that I support.
Saw you looking up there.
We don't have a Glisten anymore. I was an intern for our Glisten chapter when I was in college. That's what that's called. Undergrad.
Oh, the GLSEN.
Yeah.
Listen.
I never heard it actually spelled out, like actually said like Levitica.
It is canon since I was with the organization that they do say Glisten.
Okay. Is there like a Pittsburgh Trevor Project facility around here?
Not quite.
Okay.
No.
That'd be cool to see though.
That would be cool to see. There's a very good ballroom scene here. Hugh Lane actually does a lot of. They're connected with a lot of the ballroom stuff.
I've never done any ballroom stuff.
Is it not Project Silk? Although also Project Silk. Is it Project Silk? Who am I thinking of? The other cool thing is just like meeting people, and I met the one. I think it might be Project Silk. Is also kind of involved with that, and I've talked to their person who is like their leader.
Okay.
at one point, and he's just a very wonderful person.
One last thing before we have to sign off. What's it just like being being out and proud of like who you are and everything in Pittsburgh? Do you feel safe? Like as a whole, do you feel safer now than when you were younger?
Definitely. I think definitely safer than I was when I was younger. I was actually kind of thinking about this a little bit more because I'm from West Mifflin, Kennywood. If you're unfamiliar, I grew up in Kennywood. But it was not a very queer-friendly space. I could have never imagined, even if I knew it was a possibility for me to be non-binary, like that would have been like very, very difficult from where I was from. And it's like so wild that just like coming a little bit away from that, I can find spaces where I feel very welcome and I can be myself. And it's really cool because then I get to be myself out loud and proud. And then people are like, thank you for being out loud and proud because you make me want to be out loud and proud. And I'm like, squee, this is so good. And then just there's more people being out loud and proud and being happy. And that's, I think, the best part of it.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Is there any like things you want to plug, shout out? Like where can people find you?
You can find me on the internet.
Everywhere.
You can find me on Facebook. My fan page is Luna La Creme. I have an Instagram, which is at Luna La Creme. I have a Twitter, which is, you're never going to believe this, at Luna La Creme. And I also have a TikTok that is at Luna La Creme. And that's how you can find me. I post my events. If you're not too shady looking and you want to add my Facebook profile, I also might add you. I don't know. I have like 300 people in my friend request, so that is very questionable if that will actually happen. Yeah.
All right. Is there anything you want to add or anything before we end the show?
No. Stay elevated.
Yeah.
Alex?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I feel like I've been very quiet through this whole thing.
It's okay.
I like sitting and listening. I've had a great time having you on the show. Yeah, this was so much fun.
All right. Well, I guess we'll do our sign off. Once again, my name is Rayven. I use she, her pronouns.
I'm Alex. I use they, them pronouns.
I am Luna, and I use they, them pronouns.
And we'll see you guys in the next episode.
Bye.
Bye.